for coming to our talk today. So you work so hard. You work so hard to look fit, to be defined, to look lean. And so essentially my goal tonight was to shed a little bit of light on what was meant in this statement, the misunderstanding of it, and that that being lean has to be a lot of work, and so, or hard work. So I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Michaela Folks. I've been a student and practitioner of the body for over 27 years. So starting as a massage therapist, 20 years as a kettlebell instructor, almost 20 years as that, studying cellular nutrition within a health science company I'm connected to for over 20 years as well. And then as a fat loss and intermittent fasting expert for the last 12 years. So that's where I come from and where my awareness comes from. So anywho, I thought to talk about this statement. So last week, I'm on a dragon boat racing team, and we had a practice, and I asked about exertion or something, and someone said, you know, Michaela, your muscles were bulging, you know, kind of like you were trying or you were doing a good job. And someone quickly said, you know, I meant that as a compliment. And then it was followed up with, you know, you work so hard, like you deserve that. You deserve that, that reflection back, those accolades. And anyway, what I wanted, the myth that I wanted to dispel was that, you know, not that I'm necessarily some Adonis, like a work in progress, but it does not have to be that hard to create something that looks good, that feels good, that you love being in. And so I wanted to talk about basically 3 things that contribute to, I'll say, definition without a huge amount of sacrifice. So when people are in the fitness industry or in the weight loss realm, I feel like there is this continual theme about challenge, you know, that you have to work hard and you have to be like, I'm all for discipline, but not always or only. You know, it's like people who never drink alcohol, or they, you know, they haven't eaten sugar in the last 10 years, or they, you know, work out, they go to the gym and lift like 4 to 5 times a week. And that seems unpleasant, and it seems prohibitive as far as I'm concerned, as someone that enjoys working out and does it with regularity. So I just wanted to speak to anybody else that has a perspective like mine, that would like to have their cake and eat it too, and also doesn't want what they desire to be so hard that it's almost unattainable, that it's unattractive, unappealing. So that is my goal here today. And I'll just say also, the thing that prompted me to want to talk about this was I started giving like a little TED talk on the dock that night after this statement was uttered. You work so hard. And I'm thinking, not really. Like, I'm consistent. I have good behaviors, but I'm not slaving away, and I'm certainly not feeling restricted. So, and what I realized when I started to talk a little bit more about my reality was that this is not, I know that this is not many people's reality, but what it also made me realize was that most people don't even know that this could be a reality. And that is what I wish to share. So the number one reason why you don't need to work hard in order to be lean, to look defined, is that, so yay, hi Karen. So when you are burning sugar, which most people are, and if you don't know, you are, if you haven't deliberately gotten yourself into a fat burning mode, you are. And so why it's harder to get leaner when you're burning sugar is because you're having this this wrestle with insulin. So when people are burning sugar, the nature of it lends itself to more hunger, more cravings, and energetic dips. That's like basic. There's more stuff too, a lot. But that's a very basic and obvious place to start. So if you're often hungry, typically wrestling with cravings that tend to be around carbohydrates, most people are not craving chicken or broccoli or really wrestling with that in their weight loss efforts. It's more so sugary, sweet or starchy carbs. That's typically the stuff. And if you also wrestle with energy and you look to food to help pick you back up, to give you a little bit of a bump in energy, you need an afternoon snack, you have a slump later in the day, you need something before bedtime. If you're in that reality where you're needing food frequently, what that means is that every time you eat, insulin comes along for the ride. And the reason why that is problematic, just for this purpose, regarding leanness, is that every time you eat, you're either running off of food or you're running off of fat. So if you're not so able to run off of fat, you have to run off of food. But when you run off of food, not only do you stop running off of fat, but you create a situation where insulin blocks that fat from being used. Plus, every time you have insulin in your body, or more and more insulin in your body, depending on what you're eating and depending on the frequency, you store more of your food as fat and you have less access to your own energy. So you kind of double down on this cycle. So when fat is your energy source, it's super easy to lose it because you're using it. You're not doing this dance with, ooh, I need food and now I can't use my fat, but I really want to use my fat, but I need to eat food again. We're not doing that. Fat burners certainly eat, but we eat less often and we go for longer stretches without food, very comfortably, easily tapping into our fat. And then by the nature of our makeup, we comfortably eat less carbohydrates, which naturally releases less insulin when we do eat. So as a fat burner, as me speaking to these women that are saying, you must work so hard, I'm thinking, no, my body, it's not even that my body works hard, my body works differently. And so because fat is my primary fuel source, when I lose, if there's an effort to lose weight or just to create energy, it's from body fat. So when we lose weight, we just lose fat. And this is another thing I'm going to say. I really have 3 points, but I realize they're all a little intermingled. So most fat burners that I work with are busy moms, women over 40 that either have, big jobs, lots of responsibilities, working for themselves, multiple children, kids in sports, so much to do, not a lot of time. There are some workout queens in our world, but even then, that's like half-hour workouts, 3 times a week, walking mostly. A lot of women that I work with don't work out as well. But as a result of working together, going through Fat Burning Pro, getting into a fat burning mode, they end up looking leaner. They have more definition in their muscle. And it's like, well, that sounds crazy. They're not lifting more weights. They're not working out more. No, all they've done is they've just reduced the fat over the muscle that was there to begin with. And that's what leanness really is. It's not more muscle, it's simply less fat. So what's amazing about that is that you can do nothing, you can do nothing different in the world of workout and look like you have more muscle. And so Yay for lifting weights, yay for developing more muscle, abso-freaking-lutely, but that's not actually required to appear more defined. So that's number one. And so the comment, you work so hard to have definition in your arms, like you work so hard. And it's like, well, I do lift weights consistently. I push that twice a week. That would be amazing. 3 times, that would be, I don't even know how that happens. So that's a miracle if it does. Strength training is so good for so many things, for health, for eliminating pain, for creating an able body, a shape that you desire, but not as a reliance on, to rely on weight loss for or with. So to have more definition, all we need to do is to lose more fat. And when we are in a fat burning mode, when we've gone through this mitochondrial reconstruction, we have easy access to it. And so by reducing that fat, we naturally see more of our muscles. So that's kind of the crux of this, but I'm going to keep going on. So point number 2, why this does not have to be hard. Like that's step number 1. You just did it. Like it's not hard. If you're burning fat, you will naturally have more definition in your body because you are taking the layer of fat that's over the muscle down, period, end of story. Number 2, and this is another like, ooh, yay, the mode of fat burning naturally protects muscles and it recycles protein. So another assumption that people have in the realm of weight loss or fitness is that you, of course, lose muscle mass. You lose some muscle mass when you lose fat. And the deal is that doesn't necessarily have to happen. And the reason why it doesn't necessarily have to happen is if you are in the mode of burning fat, it makes absolutely 0 sense for your body to break muscle down for fuel. Muscle, and with it protein, are not good sources of fuel. They're good, protein is good to rebuild tissue. Muscle is great for action, for moving around, not for energy. That's a foolish, it's like burning the house that you live in to create heat. It's like, well, now I don't have shelter. It's like, so that doesn't make any sense. We should burn something else besides the wood that makes up my home for heat. And it's the same thing with muscle. So the reason why a sugar burning body, for example, these are the 2 types of fuel, that's it. Like we're made to burn both. Fat burners can burn sugar very easily. It's a simple source of fuel, and fat, which is a more complex way to get to it. But once you're there, yay, la. But when you're mostly burning sugar, the reason why muscle breakdown can more easily happen when you're losing weight is because of this element of insulin. So insulin blocks our fat from being used for fuel. So there's another talk that I've given. If you would like to see this other video, please just say something in the comments and I will send it to you. But it's how weight loss works. And it's like a more accurate explanation around calories in and calories out. So the reason why muscle breakdown can happen as a sugar burner is because of insulin. So when we eat less calories, right, we've got this body, we undereat for this body, and we assume that the need of this body is going to get taken, the energetic need is going to be taken in fat, and we're going to have weight loss that results. But when we have insulin in the mix, our body can't get to our own fat. However, if we've undereaten and this body still needs however many calories based on my basal metabolic rate, breathing, lying in bed, as well as any other activities that I do, I have to balance the equation. It needs to get energy from somewhere. But if it can't access my own fat because of this element of insulin, because as a sugar burner, we're often hungry, we're craving carbohydrates, we have energetic dips, we eat more often, we eat more carbohydrates, we have more insulin in our system more of the time, the body has to do something. And as a result, it will often break muscle down to get something, to balance this equation. And what it often does, continuing down that line, is it will reduce our metabolism because it can't match the body's energetic needs. Okay, so that's where the muscle breakdown piece happens. And it's kind of reasonable, and we all accept it, right? It's like, well, if you undereat, we run the risk of ruining, like messing with our metabolism, but sometimes like the body will break muscle down. I don't know that everyone kind of understands the concept, which is like the body's not getting the energy it needs, but yet it can't rely mostly on fat because of that element of insulin. So as a fat burner though, we don't run that risk because we have access to fat. So we never have to break muscle down. It would be crazy. It would be like we have a pile of seasoned dry wood next to our campfire, and yet we're going to cut our cabin down to create a fire. Like that would just be absolutely nuts. So we don't do that. We use the cord of wood that we have readily available. Additionally, our body recycles protein. As a fat burner, the thing, we are so metabolically well situated. Like we can create energy from like just about anything. We don't mess with our blood sugar. We conserve, we protect muscle, we recycle protein. So it's like, if we don't need it, we just keep it going. And so I don't know what that ultimately equates to. Often my fat burners will say, how much do I need? And so it's like, I have a rough estimation of what a woman needs, what a man needs. You know, we can talk about your ideal body weight and kind of reduce your body fat percentage from it. We can get numbers, but the thing that's also a comfort for fat burners is that we recycle protein. And so not only, so it's like, oh my God, I ate like 200 grams of protein yesterday because it's like, I went on this all day like beef, you know, fest. And then the day after I I had something that was minimal and there was more pasta in my life and, you know, far less grams of protein, and it's okay. It's like, it kind of evens out. So anyway, to me, that's such a comfort to not be so concerned, you know, that we need a certain amount at certain intervals each and every day. There's an element of forgiveness and flexibility. And with that, the recycling protein just kind of doubles down on that. So those are like the situation, the reason why, based on how we are situated. So I felt like that was incredibly necessary to talk about the fact that like, we don't have to work hard because we literally just take the fat down and the muscles are underneath. We don't have to do complicated shit. We don't have to do more extensive workouts. We don't have to like crack the code on, you know, how to get great shoulders or arms or whatever. It's like a lot of women do nothing and they look more defined. And it's simply because the fat has been reduced, because that's the fuel that we're using. And then additionally, we don't run the risk of breaking muscle down because of our access to fat. And it would be literally crazy for our body to break muscle down when it has essentially days, weeks worth of energy on our frame at our disposal. And then it also recycles protein. So what we consume is used in a more efficient and conservative way. So those are the top two. And then I'm like, you know what, let me just say one more thing. Because as someone that does work out, this isn't Michaela, you know, just like sitting on a couch all day. And so I thought like, all right, you know, I have to convince myself to lift weights twice a week. And it's full body and it's not crazy. And I do shit at home and it's not heavy duty weights. I do as heavy as I have. But anyway, so the thing that I thought to say around training is that, so once again, I advocate for my fat burners to ultimately get to back to a place of lifting weights. I really push walking at first. That is such a reliable way to easily tap into fat, to never compromise your physiology, to need to revert to using sugar for faster fuel. Those types of activities can be really beneficial, but if you're situated in a fat burning mode first, then once again, you can have your cake and eat it too. You don't have to run the risk of reverting to sugar, which is going to typically jack up hunger, and then just kind of reinforce this, cravings, energetic crashes, all this other mumbo jumbo. So it can happen, but it's best when people are well situated. Anywho, but I thought about why is it also advantageous for me as a fat burner when I do lift weights, when I do work out? And I'll just say, so there's something, and maybe I'll attach this for those who do work out, who do have a fitness routine. There's something called G-Flux training. And essentially it's, I'm not going to go too crazy here. I'm going to put a podcast in the thing, and then I'll talk about it at the very end if anyone wants to hear about it. All right. But there's kind of like 3 cornerstones of like a really sound exercise routine. And I'll put that in the chat. And once again, maybe I'll talk about it at the end. But at any rate, why is it better to be a fat burner when you're training? How does this help with this element of muscle either mass? Because the whole thing is that muscles are either going to be like bigger or smaller. It's the amount of fat that we have over them that's going to let us look leaner, and be more defined. But if we're working out, like how does this physiological state help us to do so? And the things that I want to say is that in this state, we have better recovery. We have more cellular support. That's something that fat burners have. There's 2 types of vitamins that we use that help with detoxification, lowering inflammation. But essentially, your cells need vitamins for protection. This is my layman's appreciation for cellular nutrition. And they need minerals to fix themselves. Our food does not really have these things in great amounts. They used to, but not so much anymore. So high quality vitamins and minerals are kind of the solution to this modern day problem. Also, fat burners have more energy, like just in general. When I was a sugar burner, I needed to eat something upon waking. I needed to eat something directly before the gym. I needed to eat something directly after the gym. Now, it's like I eat once a day, and I change when that is, depending on my life. Yesterday, it was at 6:30. Today, it was at 2. And it's like I worked out, fasted yesterday. I worked out after I ate today. But the energy is present. And so it's easier to work out. It's easier to do things that are harder, challenging, because of this abundance of energy. And then the other thing I just want to say too, regarding not being dependent on your exercise for weight loss, what that also does is it just lowers the stress regarding the expectation around the intensity of your workout. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, which is I used to feel like I had to kind of kill myself. Like I had to work really hard to like offset, whatever I did the night before, or to like get on top of, the direction that I wanted to be going in. And what's so freeing is that your exercise can really be for the shape that you want to create. It can be for your mental health, to let go of stress. It can be for the function of your body, for the sport that you like to play. It can be to prevent pain. That is my number one reason to stay strong. If you want to feel old, get weak. If you want to feel young, stay strong. That is like black and white. And then ultimately for our health. So it's like we don't have to try to like outpace our diet when we're using the fuel that we want to have less of. So at any rate, So if you're someone that has just like wanted more definition, but you just assume it has to come with, you know, starving yourself, being like hyper vigilant around your macronutrients, the calories that you're consuming, never having alcohol, never having sugar, and feeling like you need to work hard, like multiple times a week, suddenly like you have a, you know, a new relationship with the gym. It's just not the case. And so when the body is set up to use your body fat for fuel, it just takes down what you want to have less of. Like, it's very uncomplicated. It's a complex system that we live in. It's a precise process, but it's pretty straightforward. And then, so then it's like, oh, I can do these other things because of how they add to my life, because of how they make me feel, like the endorphins that I receive. And there are benefits. There are so many benefits for working out, for doing things that are challenging, for having more muscle mass, hormonally, health-wise, for a bagillion reasons, but not for the primary benefit of reducing fat and having more definition in your body. That's really a matter of fat. Okay? So I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. And so if you, I'm like, why did I wrote down other things? No. Okay, that's it. That is my talk. I just really wanted to dispel this myth, to really like sort people out with the reality that this can be so different. And so I just wanted to talk about this one aspect, because what kind of blew my mind was that these women had no idea that this could be completely different, and they still don't. Like, even if any of them are here tonight or they listen to this recording, you still don't have an appreciation for it until it's actually your reality. But the whole thing is that it is a reality. And so if you know that at the very least, and it's like, well, I do want this, but I can't go to the gym all the time. I can't eat less food. Like, I can't work out harder, or I don't want to work out hard to have this, but I would still like that. I just want people to know that this is a very achievable existence because of a different reality. So if you are a woman over 40, dear Lord, who wants to lose 8 to 15 pounds in a month by going through this mitochondrial reconstruction where your cells are reconfigured, the energy producing unit of your cell, your mitochondria, is fixed and or rebuilt to the tune that it is again capable of using your own body fat for fuel, please be in touch, or please check out our sugar quiz. That can just be really eye-opening for people. I know before I had the change, before I went through this transformation, I was a wicked sugar burner, and I just thought that's just how it is. You know, it's like, I'm hungry all the time. I carry Cliff Bars around with me. You know, I get hangry, like I'm nervous to go to a movie without something in my bag. Eating before bed, waking up in the night to eat, wicked night sweats, like rotting the mattress. Oh, so sexy. And I didn't know that life could be radically different. But the thing that's amazing about it, I realize now I've been doing this for 12 years. I think I said that at the beginning. Hi, Stella. Hi, my dear. The thing that's amazing about it is that it makes everything easier. It makes health better. It makes weight loss easier, but it makes all these other things just accessible. And so when I hear you work so hard, and like that's a compliment, you know, that's like a high five, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm consistent with what I do, which is an achievement in and of itself. But I don't work hard because hard is hard. And it's like, who wants to work hard, and who wants to work hard all the fucking time? And lastly, I will just say, as a woman who speaks for and to women, all of the, you know, stuff around women over 40, we need to do heavy weight, heavyweight is hard on our joints after some time. Heavyweight is kind of daunting. It's pretty easy to feel like overtrained with heavyweight. I think like at times heavyweight is a little, what do I want to say? Intimidating for people that aren't super, you know, practiced in the gym or have great form or aren't super strong to start. And so it's like you don't need to go to these extreme lengths to have what you want. And I think that in our culture, we're very used to like, you know, kind of like, I'm not doing enough, you know, like I'm not doing a good job. I should be working harder. And the deal is you could, but you don't have to. And so anyway, so I just wanted to share this alter universe, which is very within reach, should you wish to know more about it. All right, so that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end this. I'm going to, I will attach a sugar quiz underneath this if anyone wants to check that out. If anyone wants to